So let's talk about numbers. In the next 40 years, the global building stock will be doubled, and this building stock is going to go to be built in Africa, India, Southeast Asia, and all over the places, like also in Europe. This will lead into high demand of sustainable Nordic building products. This number probably doesn't tell you much, which was in the previous slide, but basically it means that we will build New York City every month in next 40 years, and yeah, you can only imagine how many buildings, how much we have to build, how much we have to do, material extraction and everything. And the AEC sector, so-called construction sector, is responsible of 39% of all the gas house emissions globally, and 50% out of these is coming from material extraction, raw material extraction. Today we're going to focus on those 11% of emissions which are coming from materials and construction. The rest is coming from operational emissions of buildings.
The more and more we decarbonize our energy grid, in Norway, of course, we know that the energy grid is quite sustainable and comes from a lot of renewable resources. We will be focusing more on emissions coming from materials. That basically means we would have to start reducing emissions from our materials, from our value chains. One of the methods to start working with reducing emissions from the building industry that has been recognized by governments and people around the world is LCA. LCA is recognized as a recognized tool to measure and reduce these impacts. Governments and people have started to take notice and started implementing methodologies for measuring and reducing these emissions, especially for construction industry to successfully map and reduce emissions. Some key pain points are crucial to address. Of course, there is a lot of requirements coming from various big actors in the market, but there is also requirement coming from Byggeprosessene, for example, Statsbygg in Norway, and also demand is also getting grown by BREEAM certifications, LEED, DGNB, all these green building certifications. Of course, regulations have also started coming in. There is a lot of regulations in the Nordics, especially currently. For Norway, there is TEC 17, Denmark, there is BR 18, and there are many other regulations that have come up, and it is going to increase more and more in the coming time. If companies have to focus on LCA, there are a few challenges that come in the way that you would have to solve to make LCA easier to be implemented in various organizations and various companies. Of course, there are three main challenges that comes when we talk about LCA. First is compliance, cost, and competence. Compliance, of course, compliance with, as I mentioned, customer demand, green building certification, various regulatory requirements. Cost, how can we reduce time and cost that is relevant for these LCA calculations. Historically, LCA has been quite time-intensive and cost-intensive. Process, competence, of course, to be always updated with the new regulations coming in. Of course, latest regulation is the EU taxonomy, but then other local regulatory requirements, and how to integrate all these LCA calculations in your existing workflows so that you don't need to have that high competence to work with LCA. What are the advantages of using One Click LCA? Of course, we help you with compliance. We have more than 70 plus certifications that you can use One Click LCA for to comply with various requirements around the world. And cost, for example, we have a lot of BIM integrations and integrations with data, which can help you to reduce amount of work and the time that you use to do LCA calculations and integrate into the existing workflows. We have a lot of training and support. In the past 2 years, we have trained around 20,000 people worldwide for free to work with LCA and improve competence in LCA department. A little bit about One Click LCA. We are world's leading LCA software, specially designed for the building industry. We are now approximately in 150 countries, answering to more than 70 plus certifications. We have around 20 years of experience. We integrate complete global data into our system with various BIM integrations. We have tools that can support the complete value chain in the building industry, like for buildings, for manufacturing to make EPDs for infrastructure projects, and GHG accounting for all kind of companies. One Click LCA is predominantly driven by data and transparency. That is also a foundation for LCA. We also focus a lot on scaling the sustainability shift. Our goal is to train around 1 million people by 2030 for free to start working with LCA calculations. We provide certified and compliant digital tools with high level of automation. And why do we focus on automation? So that you can focus on what is important. What is important is that you don't punch in numbers in a difficult software, in an Excel file, but you integrate it with your existing workflows. And that can be used to, our software can be used to basically reduce the emissions and map these emissions and focus on reducing emissions from your projects, products, and your value chain. Our mission is to empower the makers of zero carbon future. We are a software provider. We don't reduce emissions. We empower you to reduce emissions via our services. We support the complete building branch from engineers, architects, consultants, investors, and institutions. So, for example, Statsbygg in Norway and all the various Norwegian consultants and architects use One Click LCA. And we also support a lot of manufacturers to make EPDs around the world. So we integrate the data no matter where the EPD is published, even if it's not made for One Click LCA software. But we also support a lot of manufacturers to make EPDs on their own. Shortly said, we are trusted by world leaders. 6 of the top 10 global construction manufacturers use One Click LCA. 10 of the top 10 global contractors, 16 of the top 20 architects use One Click LCA to reduce emissions from the construction industry. There you go.
Have you been recently been asked by does your company have an EPD? What I have been talked to in these fairs, the answer is most likely yes, as many Nordics companies and buyers and specifiers are aware what are EPDs and what they're used for. Okay, so what is an EPD? Probably all of you doesn't even know this, but it's an environmental product declaration, a document which is transparently communicates the environmental performance impact of any product or material of its lifetime. And why companies want to make EPDs? First, climate change, emission reduction, and the measure and understanding the environmental impacts of your building products. There is regulation, green building certificates, customer demands, and companies' procurements who are aware what they want to buy and include to their construction projects. And I don't know, not probably anyone or all of us, but like most of us want to measure the emissions accurately, and the building sector is more aware every day about all the building material impacts on the environment and for the whole life cycle of the construction project.
Yeah, thank you. So basically, what my colleague is trying to say is that what cannot be measured can't be managed. It's quite a famous line in LCA, so we are also using it here. But what are the regulations asking for exactly? When we talk about the Nordics in general, Nordics are leading when it comes to EPD generation. It's a very open market. It's focusing on uniform reporting, especially when we talk about EPDs. Regulations are, of course, a little bit complicated, and various regulations around various countries are not harmonized so far. But for EPD, there is quite straightforward requirements. There is no preference for a single program operator or a specific software tool. What you have to focus for when your customer says we want an EPD in compliance with BREEAM, in compliance with any regulatory requirement, and it's applicable for the European market, you most likely will be focusing on a standard that is called EN 15804 standard, and the gold standard is for you to document an EPD which is third-party verified. If you do these two compliances, you will most likely be able to comply with the specific requirements that your customers are demanding. But maybe most of you know, maybe some of you know, there are a lot of roadblocks when it comes to EPDs. You might have heard that it's expensive, it's time-consuming. The softwares are designed for a select few LCA experts. You yourself cannot use these kind of softwares, for example. Heavy manual and dated softwares, tedious and expensive scalability options. Even if you invest a lot of money in scaling for these EPDs, most likely the rules are changing. The standards are changing, the PCRs of the program operators are changing. It's really hard to keep up to have valid tools, even if you scale. Of course, ensuring that the data that you're using, is it legal? Is it standardized? Is it compliant? There is a lot of market confusion and misinformation about EPDs, who can do it, how can you do it, and what exactly you need to do. There is also a lot of issues about R&D possibilities. You make these documents, you invest a lot of money, but you cannot manage this data, and you cannot use this data and reach your specifiers. So, yeah.
And to be more specific, how we unleash this kind of business potential and make it easier for you to make these roadblocks more like an obstacles is that our solution is only designed for building sector and the expert of manufacturers and expert of construction companies and property developers. It's easy to use and it's certified as compliance side. We provide solution that user can trust, and also it's a affordable, scalable, and standardized solution. In practice, what this means is, because it's not so simple subject to start to do within any company, doesn't matter if it's big company, small company, but first you need a good support. We as a software company, we also provide this called One Click LCA Academia, where we have free courses for people who are interested of LCA and EPDs. You get legitimate competence from our experts. You get free software supports. And during your first two EPDs, our experts are guiding you through and holding your hand until you are able to publish your first EPD. After that, you get the competence, you have the process in place, you have kind of understanding of the process, how it will go through, and you are able to publish and do this all by yourself. In the number 3 here, we have the scalable verification and publishing systems, which means that we kind of enable easy one-click solution for publishing, for example, scaling tables, history EPDs, single scenario EPDs, what type of EPDs you want to publish, and make it super cost efficient and normally like 5 times more faster than the usual options what you have in any country. We do this by partnership with different kind of program operators like EPD International and EPD Hub. So let's talk a little bit about the business side of EPDs and why your company needs to kind of start acting. And you might be now thinking that are the companies that are more sustainable also more profitable? But I think we should maybe be asking that, can the company that is not sustainable be successful now or even in the long terms? And the answer is no. Already, probably you know that the money is flowing in the sustainable development. You will get better loan, better terms on your loans, better funding, etc. And every investor, what there is, want to have a sustainable building, sustainable products in their portfolios. Companies simply doesn't afford anymore to be not sustainable. Then we go to the proof planning. As we have covered here already, we have increasing amount of different kind of regulation coming in Europe, coming in Nordics, coming in every place in the world. So wherever you are selling your product to, you have to have EPDs. This is also kind of the EPDs are kind of your North Star when you're looking your path to zero carbon future within your company. So act proactively, not reactive. If you are reacting to something, you are already late. And this is the news for me as well, but like consumer companies and your customers are ready to pay 20% extra for premium products which are better for the environment. This is a huge, huge competitive edge for Nordic building producer, building manufacturers, and material manufacturers, since we have the knowledge, we have the know-how, we have the competence to be one step ahead of every other market what there is.
Of course, when we talk about market position and investments, we have seen this time and again that businesses can face significant government fines, cleanup efforts. For example, we can take an example of oil institutions, and they're unlikely to be supported or successful in the building industry if you are not working within sustainability frameworks. It is extremely important that we start already thinking about sustainability in our value chain so that we don't have heavy fines and taxes. So of course, it's going to affect your business and reliability of your business as well. And maybe a small thing, or maybe a big thing, to attract talent. It is estimated that nearly 40% of millennials have chosen a job on the grounds of companies' commitment to sustainability principles. If you want a flourishing business and you want to attract talent, you have to start working within sustainability so people would like to work for your company. And in the end, why should your business think and act sustainable? Of course, we have discussed because of the regulations to stay relevant, and because it is the right thing to do. Because?
And because this is business as usual.
Yeah.
I think we have pretty much covered on our presentation already that why you should invest EPDs from the environmental aspects, but also from the business aspects. And you have probably imagined already what is the cost of doing nothing if you are working as a building material manufacturer. I think should this be, or would this be, the call to action on every construction material producer what there is?
Yeah. And as we already mentioned, our work in the Norwegian and Danish market, Tuomas works in Finland. We have people working in 150 countries. You can contact us anytime, and we can help you to understand and mitigate how we can help you to reduce emissions from your construction industry. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.